A few weeks ago, Tyson Fury said that he wanted to big Deontay Wilder up in the lead up to their rematch and make him out to be the most ferocious puncher of all time and the most avoided and dangerous fighter in the division. He said he wanted to do that because he wants to get all the credit for beating him. Well, now Tyson Fury has done a complete U-turn on that, and he says that Deontay Wilder's record is trash, basically, and it's full of former American football players, has-beens, and bums. So let's have a look at Deontay Wilder's record once again. We've done this several times here on this channel, but for new subscribers, this is for your benefit. So here we go, Deontay Wilder's Wikipedia page. If we scroll down to near the bottom, we'll find his professional boxing record. Now, these early fights are all against journeymen, absolute nobodies. Any of you can go to his Wikipedia page or to his BoxRec page to verify this. Just picking somebody random out. Let's have a look. DeAndre Alburn, whoever the hell this guy is, or Albron, DeAndre Abron, excuse me. Professional boxing record, I mean, there it is. Not very impressive, is it? So that's just one random example. So the first time he fought somebody who most of you would have heard of was Audley Harrison. Okay, at the time, Audley Harrison had lost multiple times. Not sure exactly what his record was then. If we go down here, well, it was actually his last professional fight, Audley Harrison. So yeah, he'd lost several times by then. He was 31-7. That was the first time Wilder fought somebody you would have heard of. Then he fought Sergey Likovich, who was a former world champion, but he was coming off, I think, 2 or 3 back-to-back stoppage defeats, and he was way past his best. Let's have a look here. Indeed, there we go. So he was knocked out by Robert Helenius, stopped by Bryant Jennings, then he fought Deontay Wilder. So this was a former champion, yes, but way past his sell-by date. He'd previously been beaten by Nikolai Valoev, beaten by Shannon Briggs, and over-the-hill Shannon Briggs at that. Knocked out by Maurice Harris. I mean, that's a real bad loss because Maurice Harris, no disrespect, was only a journeyman himself. If we have a look at Maurice Harris's professional boxing record, there you go, 26 wins, 22 losses. That's Maurice Harris. This is the guy who beat Likovich, and you can see he was losing from early on in his career. So still, at that point, Deontay Wilder hadn't beat anybody. Let's move on. Okay, we're still on Likovich's page. Where are we at? All right. So Likovich, Nikolai Firther, Malik Scott, Jason Gavin. Finally, in his 33rd fight, he fought somebody with a pulse because he hadn't fought anybody with a pulse up to that point, and it was Bermane Stiverne. Now, I say Bermane Stiverne had a pulse. He wasn't a great fighter. If you look at Bermane Stiverne's professional boxing record, you'll find that Bermane Stiverne was actually knocked out, stopped. I saw this fight by Demetrius King, who was a journeyman. In 4 rounds, he stopped Bermane Stiverne. That fight is available for anybody to watch on YouTube. So that's not a good sign, really, is it? Bermane Stiverne losing to a journeyman, Demetrius King. And any of you who want to look up Demetrius King on BoxRec, I welcome you to do so. You'll see that he is 100% definitely a journeyman with a journeyman's record. So let's go back to Wilder's record here. Then, well, actually, no, let's stay on Stiverne for a second. Does the Stiverne have anything on there? He's got the 2 wins over Chris Arreola, and Chris Arreola had seen better days, truth be told. He'd taken a lot of punishment in his career, been in a lot of wars, lost to Vitaly Klitschko, obviously. And as I say, Stiverne beat him twice. First time by UD, second time by stoppage. And other than that, Stiverne has done nothing. So Stiverne was one of the weakest heavyweight champions in history. If you're going by his resume, there's no question about it. So Wilder beat him. Then he beat Eric Molina. We know he ain't much cop. Johan Duopa, a tough French guy. But again, nothing special. Hasn't really done anything in the heavyweight division. Artur Spilka, same. Chris Arreola was even more over the hill than when Bermane Stiverne beat him and Deontay Wilder retired him in 8. Gerald Washington, we know, ain't much cop. Bermane Stiverne again. I mean, geez, talk about recycling an opponent who was pretty much a dead horse first time around and you're still flogging him. Luis Ortiz, and again, there is this myth that Luis Ortiz is somehow the number 2 or number 3 in the division. What absolute nonsense. Luis Ortiz has done nothing as a professional. All of these wins here for Luis Ortiz against absolute nobodies. I mean, it's frightening that he fought Burt Cooper in 2011. Burt Cooper was a journeyman in the 1990s at heavyweight. A journeyman from the 1990s. God knows how old Burt Cooper was when Luis Ortiz fought him back in 2011. That's frightening that Cooper was still fighting at the time. And RIP Burt Cooper, by the way, because he passed away fairly recently. But truth be told, he was a journeyman. And obviously at this point, he'd seen much better days. Because in Burt Cooper's prime, he was a journeyman, but he was somewhat dangerous as a journeyman. By the time Ortiz fought him, obviously, yeah, he wasn't much cop. So all of these people are just anonymous journeymen who Luis Ortiz is running through. This fight here was a no contest. I haven't seen it, but it says it was originally ruled a KO for Ortiz. Later a no contest, not sure why. I know why this fight is a no contest though, against Latif Kayode. Again, this guy Latif Kayode wasn't much cop at cruiserweight or heavyweight. And Ortiz tested positive for steroids in this fight. I think it was for nandrolone, correct me if I'm wrong. And that's why it was changed from a TKO win for Ortiz to a no contest because of the positive steroid test. And Ortiz did serve a ban with the WBA after that. So yeah, fighting nobodies. Then he fights Brian Jennings. And Jennings has always been a decent contender. He's never been elite. He's never been one of the top guys, but he's always been a decent kind of contender / fringe contender. Always comes in shape, tries hard, but tends to fail when he steps up. And that was a good performance by Luis Ortiz. In that fight right there, Luis Ortiz showed a lot of promise, a lot of potential. But that's all he ever showed, because since then, he's done absolutely nothing. Fought an ancient Tony Thompson, Malik Scott, who just turned up to, I don't know what, run around and pick up a paycheck because he never tried to win. Dave Allen, Daniel Martz. And then between the Wilder fights, Christian Hammer, Travis Kaufman, and Razvan Kajanu. So Luis Ortiz has fought literally nobody. He's fought Deontay Wilder a couple times, but he's beat literally nobody. So when you look at Deontay Wilder's record, you have to agree with Tyson Fury. It's full of people who haven't done anything in boxing, right? So, and the football player he was talking about is probably Gerald Washington, because he started boxing very late and he came from an American football background. So I have to agree with the Gypsy King on this occasion. Deontay Wilder's record is trash. He has one of the most overinflated records I've seen for a world heavyweight champion. It's extremely thin. And the fact that this guy has managed to hype himself up as the number 1 heavyweight in the division is quite extraordinary, considering who he hasn't fought and what he hasn't done. It's really a master stroke by the likes of Al Heyman, Bob Arum, etc., because they see the threat of Eddie Hearn, of Anthony Joshua, and they want to eliminate that threat. They don't want to do it in the ring, because Deontay Wilder had several opportunities to fight Anthony Joshua. They want to do it outside of the ring by trying to manipulate public perception into believing that AJ isn't really the world heavyweight champion, despite the fact that he's got the best resume of any top heavyweight, despite the fact that he's achieved more in, 23 fights than Deontay Wilder's achieved in 43 fights. They want all of the facts to be ignored and just hone in on Deontay Wilder's highlight reel. Just hone in on the trash talk that comes out of his mouth, or that comes out of Frank Warren's mouth, or Tyson Fury's mouth, or Bob Arum's mouth. Facts don't matter to a lot of these boxing fans nowadays, but to real boxing fans like me, facts do matter, and that's why I have to give credit where it's due. On this particular occasion, I agree with Tyson Fury. I frequently disagree with him, but he's right about Deontay Wilder's record. No question about it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.